Hey everyone, this is J7Jace, bringing you a tier list for the PlayStation 1 version of Final Fantasy Tactics. We'll be taking a look at how strong they are in their base job, their stats, stat multipliers, equipment options, how useful their skill set is in and out of their job, and lastly, their true max potential. So once you unlock more abilities and have the best equipment items in the game. So with all that being said, let's get started. We're going to begin with the Squire. Now, their stats and stat multipliers really aren't that great, but they have some really insane abilities like accumulate, like fast XP, JP, and it's good on physical attackers. Increase your attack up to 99 in battle, and you can just wreck anything and gain JP up and move +1. Those abilities are very, very good. So, but they're a default starter, so they're just going to be in C tier. Even with like the best items, there are just better things to use. This will bring us to the next thing I'm going to look at is the Archer. So the Archer, their only saving grace to me is Concentrate. Like, that's an underrated and overlooked support ability, in my opinion, as it works around evasion. Like, they're good once you unlock them in Chapter 1, like, for a few battles, but then their damage really starts to fall off. And their ultimate bow in this version, the Perseus bow, like, it's one of a kind, and its weapon attack still isn't really good. There are just better things to use in the game. Like, the only time you want to be an archer is to unlock bigger and better things. So I'm going to put them in D tier. For the chemist, now the chemist, their stats and stat multipliers aren't really good. They're weak in combat until you get magic guns. So once you get magic guns, increase that bait stat no higher than 94. An equipment item that will boost their element, like fire, lightning, and ice. So 108 gems can do that. However, their skill set is always useful at any point in the game. Items, potion, phoenix down. Auto potion is like the I win reaction ability. Maintenance is overlooked as well, and you can't forget about mood-find item. That's how you get some of the best, rarest items in the game, like Escutcheon 2 at Noveska Temple. So without that ability, you can't get that item. So for those reasons, I'm gonna put them in S. Like, we also can't forget about their built-in throw items. So you can essentially have two support abilities. So you have throw items, and you can do like defense up. So very, very solid. Their skill set's great. Now let's take a look at other things. The Black Mage. They're good, just like the chemist, like in their base job as well. Your MA multiplier is fantastic. Magic attack up. Yeah, and once you learn other things like draw out, math skill, they can just wreck anything. They're just so insane. Like, even though you unlock them so early, they're good at any point in the game. A variety of things. Just make sure they have a higher fate stat, and we're pretty much good to go with the Black Mage. Just wonderful. Now this brings us to the Knight. So early on, they're quite solid. They kind of fall off, in my opinion, in chapters 2 and 3, and then they get much better once you unlock Knight Swords. So you can get like Excalibur, Haste, Chaos Blades. They have good PA, HP. So I like them in A tier personally. Like, give them, Concentrate, 2 swords, just really, really solid. Let's take a look at the Monk. So the Monk, very, very good. Like, their skill set is amazing. Earth Slash, Chakra, counter, critical recover HP, martial arts, move HP up. Like, if you're struggling, turn Ramza into a monk. Just note that unarmed damage as well as knight swords, and once we go into samurai, the katanas, like you want a higher bravery stat. Like it doesn't only help nearly all reaction abilities, have a higher success rate. It'll increase damage, with those three things. So definitely have a higher bravery. Just don't have higher bravery when you're going move fine iteming. I'm trying to stick with the PlayStation 1 names here. So with that being said, let's look at the samurai as well. So their base job, it's not really that good. Their skill sets are a lot better. Like draw out. Too bad draw out is based on your magic attack stat. And then blade grasp is like one of the best reaction abilities in the game. And two hands isn't too bad as well. Like I'm gonna put them in A plus. Like A plus, blade grasp to me is their saving grace, and draw out on things like the black mage. Like I could put them lower, but those abilities are holding them up. Like their base job isn't that good. Like their HP is way too low. Their speed, their move, like their PA is pretty good, but that skill set's saving them in this placing. So let's take a look at something else. We're gonna deviate away from the generics. We're gonna take a look at Mustadio. So I don't like how guns are like the regular guns. Like it's just based on weapon power. Like you can increase it with attack up, and he does have good abilities with arm and leg shot. And once you get magic guns, he's really, really good. And you need him to unlock the other unique characters in the game. But yeah, Mustadio. He has higher than normal speed, but you can't arm and leg shot once people have a Thief's Hat, which, make you immune to those abilities. But yeah, he's just an A tier character. Like, magic guns can be insane, but the generic engineer, like, they don't offer much. Like, counter tackle, gain JP out, move +1. But he's better than the Squire for sure. Let's go back to the originals here. Let's take a look at the Ninja. To me, incredible in S. Like, they have fantastic stats, good PA, high evasion, highest speed, and two swords is amazing. Like, he can duplicate some of the best weapons in the game. So, like, once you get Orlando, the Excaliburs, duplicate that, and you'll be in for a very, very good time. And speaking of Orlando, since I mentioned him, this is not a scripted video. SS. He's in a tier of his own. I got some feedback, and like I already said, like he's at the top of S, but he deserves his own tier, especially in the PlayStation 1 version of the game. Just game-breaking abilities, Excalibur, wonderful stats, equipment options, move stat of 4. Like, did he really need 4 move? Like, even with 3 move, like he's still like the best character. So, especially in the PlayStation 1, SS, that's like his own tier and level. So let's get back to the other jobs. So the Thief, I'm gonna put them in B tier. Their abilities like Secret Hunt, Catch, Move +2, and their Steal, Steal Weapon and etc. Like their abilities, like that skill set is useful on anyone. Monks actually make better thieves, so put Steal on the monk and give them attack up, and you'll be in for a good time. But base thief isn't really good. But yeah, the saving grace for them is their skill set and their utility is just so useful outside of the job. So B tier for them. Now let's go with Ramza, the main protagonist here. So at any point in the game, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, because he has Yell, and you can increase your own speed up to 50 in battle, like, that's insane. We also can't forget he has male and female stat growths. And chapters 2 and 3, he can get cheer up that can permanently increase your bravery. And then scream in chapter 4, and he can equip night swords. Like, at first glance, when you first play the game, he doesn't seem that overpowered, but once you really know the game and what he can do, S plus. Like, having Yale alone and put him there. So Roms is just amazing with anything you want. Dual wield monk, squire with other secondaries, incredible. Speaking of overpowered secondaries, we're going to be taking a look at the calculator. So the calculator, in their base job, it's really not that good, but their abilities on other things, like Black Mage, or actually Wizard. This is the PlayStation 1 version. Why do I keep saying Black Mage? Like Wizard, Ramza, you'll just wreck anything. You know, instant casting for free, being able to target all enemies. Just make sure your allies can nullify the damage or absorb the magic attack, or just have lower faith. Yeah, just an insane thing. Just don't use them in their base. Their abilities on other jobs are what make them overpowered. Calculators themselves, their abilities are what make them overpowered. So let's take a look at the other things. The Time Mage, like teleport and MP switch, those are insane. And we can't forget about haste. That's really, really good too. Actually, they could be higher because, you know, MP switch, move MP up combo, and teleport. Just very, very useful, especially in deep dungeon. But I'm gonna put them in A. Like, I do wish Time Magic did a bit more. Like, you're mostly gonna be using like haste, slow. Quick is kind of gimmicky, but I like them. They're not bad. Like, Time Mages are solid. So let's take a look and go over to a unique character, Beowulf. Now he's like an oracle, but on steroids. He can physically attack well. He has instant spell, magic sword. Just increases bravery and faith. So with bravery, give him a night sword. He can attack really well, and you know, sleep, petrify, shock. Like, he's amazing. He's like a mini Orlando in a way. So S plus for Beowulf, 100%. So I'm not going to include these four since they're in War of the Lions. That's going to be in another video. So just ignore these last four portraits. Let's take a look at my second favorite Final Fantasy character, or my favorite Final Fantasy VII character, Cloud Strife. So yeah, D tier. Comes at level 1, limit is super gimmicky. Like, you can do a finishing touch build with him. I know he can equip female hair adornments, but he's, yeah, just disappointing. Like, he's better in this game than War of the Lions because of his MA. But yeah, finishing touch build is too gimmicky, and he needs Materia Blade in order to use those limits, and Materia Blade isn't a good sword. Like, if you could unlock it earlier, then its weapon attack is solid. But in Chapter 4, they're just better things with Cloud. I'm sorry. I love Cloud, but D tier. Speaking of which, the mimes. Like, they can be wonderful if you know, abuse the Degenerator trap because they have amazing stat growths in all areas besides MP, but they can't use other abilities normally, and you can't equip anything on them, so they're just a D tier character. Now let's take a look at Ivalice's next top model, everyone's favorite Final Fantasy Tactics character. Um, she's S plus as well. Like her ability is Holy Sword, Stasis Sword, Lightning Stab, Holy Explosion, and she's female. So give her that Ribbon Chantage combo, and she's invincible. Like, I only wish her stats were a bit better. Like, her HP multiplier is solid, but I wish she had like 4 move, more physical attack, maybe 1 extra speed. Then she's up there with Orlando, but just wonderful. I mean, she could get SS, but not S plus. I'll put her above Beowulf. She joins the party earlier, so I'll be nice. Um, Speaking of which, we're gonna take a look at Melidal or Divine Knight. So in the PlayStation 1 version, I'm gonna give her A plus. Like Mighty Sword, those abilities don't work on monsters or beasts. Like, and that's what we're gonna face throughout most of the game, especially in random battles. Like, she hits hard, she has 4 base move, and she's a female, but I really wish those abilities worked on monsters. Like, once we're in War of the Lions, like once we're in that video, she's gonna shoot up several spots, but in the PlayStation 1 version, she just joins too late, and that handicap is bringing her down. So Melidal is in A plus. So let's take a look at the Bard here. I'm just gonna put them in D tier. Like, their songs are way too slow. Move plus 3 is their best ability. Like, you want to learn that and move out. Like, you can use them with the degenerator trap for your male characters and then level up as something better. But like, you can just get move plus 2 from the thief. Like, move plus 2 is more than good enough. Move plus 3 is kind of like more luxury. Like, you don't really need it. And fly, like 1000 JP in the PlayStation 1. There are just better things. So why get fly when you can get teleport, which is much easier to unlock and it's cheaper. So Bard is in D tier. Like, you really don't want to use them or bring them into a hard fight. So let's go on to the Geomancer. Now, this one, some people think it's amazing, some people think it's bad. I think it's pretty good. Like, attack up is one of the best support abilities in the game. Counter Flood, their reaction ability, is overlooked. Lava Walking is just bad. The only time you're going to use it is in Mount Pravenia. And once you learn all their elemental abilities, like, it does decent damage. Like, especially if it's an element, like, just give them 108 gems. They have 4 move. They have solid equipment options from swords, shields, and hats and clothing. So they aren't bad, but they're not overpowered, broken. So I like them in A. Just really well-rounded and solid. So let's take a look at the Summoner. I'm gonna put them in A tier. Like, in chapter 2 and chapter 3, like once you learn things like Ramu and Odin, they are really, really solid. I do think they're slightly slower and they do fall off later. Like, the Black Mage, like, you want that MA multiplier. Like, you'd rather put summon on a Black Mage instead. But yeah, summoners, aren't bad. Like, they're really, really solid. Like, A tier doesn't mean they're bad in any way, shape, or form. They're just the ones above it for reasons I think are just better, but Summoner is always good. So let's take a look at the Oracle here. I'm going to put them in B. Like, I don't like... I mean, defense up is nice. You can do funny things with two-handed stick build. But, instead of causing negative status ailments, I'd rather have something do damage. Like, Drain can be useful against the Lucavi, but You can do more with these things, in my opinion. Like they have, yeah, and like any weather, I'm good. I'm being generous to be. Um, for the next ones, the white mage. Like I do like their speed, but I still rather heal with a chemist and use Phoenix down over Rays. But Holy is insane. Like that's their main ability that you're going to use later on into the game. Like Holy with Matt skill, put that on the black mage because you're not really going to do much with regenerate or magic defense up. Like those abilities aren't that good. It's mostly Holy for them, so I'm gonna put them in B tier because Holy is like the best magic spell in the game. So I'm gonna put them in B. Now for the rest here, the Lancer. Gotta say the PS1 names. Like jump is weird, so I'm gonna put them in A. You want to equip a spear, so that'll increase your jump damage. Like how fast you come down from jump is based on their speed stat and CT of yourself. Um, like jump is much better on other things. Like you want to put jump on a ninja, equip spears, or a thief. But jump hits so hard. I think they're an A tier. Like you can't avoid jump unless you have golem, blade grasp, or MP switch, or you just get out of the way. But I do like Lancers here. I kind of lowballed them last time, but no, they deserve something better. And you can't forget about Dragonheart and Ignore Height. Like, really, really overlooked. Like, it's not as good as Teleport, but Jump does damage, and you gotta kill your enemies to win battles. So let's move on to the Mediator here. Once they get magic guns, they can start doing some real damage. I do like their utility with Invitation and Preach. Like you can invite some monsters and you secret hunt with the Thief. And you can get some awesome items like, ribbon, chantages. Like that's really useful. And, they're the only job in the game that can increase and reduce faith. So I'm putting him in B for utility. Like that's holding them in their spot. And let's take a look at the dancer. um hmm. I'm still not convinced. Like, I mean, they can be good. They require a bit of RNG to do well. Like, you want to put dance as a secondary on other things because the dancer's stats really aren't that good for the most part. But, if you can get some of these things to land, that 50%, that 50-50 from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in your favor, they can be solid. But I don't like the RNG in their stats, so I'm just going to put them in C. Like, if they danced faster or short charge worked on it, I'd like that too. So, oh yeah, we can't forget about short charge for the time mage. So there's that. Now let's take a look at Rays here. I'm gonna put her in S tier. Like she has the best stat growths in the entire game, but she's really limited on her equipment options. And Holy Breath isn't as good in the PlayStation 1 version, but just give her other things like draw out from the Black Mage or Mat skill from the calculator, and she's going to do wonders. Also, the War of the Lion items, I feel like make everyone better here, but especially her, I feel. But because it's the PS1 and Holy Breath isn't as good, I'm going to put her in S. Like, again, these are all insane. Like, don't get offended that she's not an S plus. Like, she's still a wonderful character. Like, but she comes in so late. I don't like her 3 move and equipment options, but just still a wonderful character once you learn other abilities. So, Rafa and Merrick. Oh man. Um, Rafa, I'm gonna put in C tier. Yeah, there we go. I mean, she's a bit faster, but Heaven's Skill in the PS1 version, it's super unreliable. It's not gonna focus on the center tile in any way, shape, or form. Like potentially, it could be better if there's 4 enemies and you want to wipe them all out. Like you got to pray to the RNG gods there, but she's much better in Warp Lines. I'm gonna put her in C. Don't bother with Heaven's Skill. But if you do want to use it, I recommend Short Charge. Give her items that increase her MA, and it'll be good to go. And her abilities aren't dependent on her faith stat, so we can lower that faith, and she can make a wonderful person to use with move find items much faster as she comes with lower bravery. So Malik is D tier. His abilities aren't as good, and they're based on how low his faith stat is and target faith, and also your MA and elemental, but he's just too random. And PS1 items, I don't like him at all. Like he has 4 move, but nah, I think he's like the worst unique character in the game. This was my tier list for the PlayStation 1 version of Final Fantasy Tactics. If you like this kind of stuff, leave a like, subscribe, and even a comment. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.